This is Retirement Keys with Anthony Congemi from Crescent City Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Anthony provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Retirement Keys with your host, Anthony Congemi.
All right, welcome to another show of Retirement Keys. I'm your host, Anthony Congemi, and we have our fabulous co-host with us every Sunday as we do, Mr. Tony Shore. Thank you, Tony, so much for being with us today. Honestly, I don't think we could do the show without you. You bring so much to it. Thank you for being here.
Oh, Anthony, you don't need to say that. I'm just along for the ride, but I really appreciate you and all the wisdom you bring financially and the tips and strategies for our listeners out there. And I'm excited to be here. We always have a good time, and we always have a great chat before and after the show. And when we do get to hang out, we were just talking about a big financial conference we're going to be at in January, and with some of the top advisors from across the country. And that's a big one in January. I think this year it's in Texas, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And you're right. It's a great event, and so many, fabulous retirement planners that are at these events. And it's really, it's good because, we say all the time, you really have to keep up. There, if you don't keep up with the current investment strategies and current different retirement planning strategies over the years, you really, in a quick hurry, you could become a dinosaur. I mean, you have to stay on top of so many of the changes, Tony, that just come about. And so these advisors that come to these events, they bring so much, and of course the speakers and, all of the different educators that come to the events. And so it's really just a great time. So we look forward to it every year.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's great. And you've been keeping busy. This is a busy time of year for you because you've got a lot of year-end planning meetings with your clients, kind of their checkups, and then you've also got holidays. We have the holidays coming up, and it's crazy busy right now, isn't it?
It really is, Tony, and you're right. The end of the year planning can be so important, primarily because a lot of the different end of the year planning requirements end after December the 31st. So you really, if there's some things that need to be done prior to the end of the year, this is kind of crunch time here, the month of December. So yeah, it really is a busy time of year. I guess in a lot of industries, around the Christmas and around the holidays, it may slow down, but certainly not in our industry. The end of the year really needs to be efficient because so many people have to do year-end planning.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, end of the year is the time when you need to make sure you're dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's. So let's go through this checklist once again. And we've talked about this before, but first up on the list are RMDs, or required minimum distributions, right?
Absolutely. So your required minimum distribution. So all of your pre-tax money, if you're retired and you are at a certain age, it's mandatory that you take what's called RMDs, or required minimum distributions. Now, the reason why I say certain age is because it depends on when you were born. It could have been at 70 and a half, let's say, would have been the soonest, but then it could be 72, 73, or all the way out to 75, depending on your date of birth. But if you're 70 or older, you really want to make sure that you're not missing any RMD requirements. And so, no, that's a biggie, Tony, because there's really no do-overs. This is one of those after December the 31st, if you haven't taken your required minimum distribution, or satisfied your required minimum distribution, there's a penalty, and it's a substantial penalty. So this is definitely one you don't want to miss.
Oh, for sure. And you want to avoid penalties, and you want to make sure you plan out those RMDs. Maybe you need to be taking a little bit out of those accounts, even if you don't need it, before that, to reduce the RMDs or reduce that burden later in retirement, when you become RMD age, which right now is about 73, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And again, some are, that's right, it's 73. Some folks have made their required distribution age at 70 and a half, and of course they have to maintain RMDs. So it really is important to make sure that the custodian or the folks that are helping you with your IRAs, or have you on a really good schedule there to make sure those RMDs come out. The only other thing I'd like to add to this before we move on is we have a lot of clients that do Roth conversions, and they convert over to their Roth depending on their tax bracket. It could be a very efficient thing to do to go ahead and pay Uncle Sam and get the money into the Roth. As you know, it's all tax-free money, and there are no RMD requirements for a Roth IRA. But I will say that those Roth conversions, the reason why I mention this is to say this, those Roth conversions do not satisfy your RMD. So just because you might have done a Roth conversion and pulled money out of your IRA and converted it to a Roth, that does not take the place or help satisfy any required minimum distribution. So anyway, RMDs are very important, and we want to make sure. So if you haven't, or if you have any questions about your required minimum distribution, want to make sure you've got it out appropriately, just call our office, 504-828-2171, or reach us online at crescentcityretirement.com, and we can certainly help make sure that you get out what you need to.
Oh, for sure. So what's next on the list, Anthony?
So next on this planning ahead and stay on track for the end of the year checklist is review tax withholding. So if you've had a big event this year, like a wedding or a divorce, you may have a different filing status. And so we want to make sure that you are filing correctly. So any big events, got married, divorced, somebody passed away, the filing status is something that you have to review.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when it comes to taxes, you've got to have a plan in place. And as we draw closer to the end of the year, better make sure you've got those ducks in a row. I know you help your clients with that and work alongside tax professionals. So that's another big one. It really is. And every subject we talk about on the show, Anthony, everything you bring up to me, it seems like there are tax implications to every aspect of financial investing, financial planning, retirement planning, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we say it all the time. I mean, the 5 keys that we work with to maintain a well-balanced, holistic retirement plan is estate and legacy planning, healthcare, investments, income, and then, of course, taxes. But I would say, to your point, that taxes permeate all of it. Your estate planning has tax implications. Your healthcare planning has tax implications. Certainly your investments and your income planning has tax implications. So yes, taxes does play a role in all aspects of your retirement plan. And so it's very important to be tax aware.
Oh, for sure. Obviously, taxes are a big part of this. Now, what's next on the year-end plan ahead, stay on track, however you want to put it, a year-end checklist, a financial checklist for our listeners out there?
Sure. So number 3 on the checklist, review insurance policies. Go over your homeowners, auto, life insurance policies to ensure they're continuing to meet your needs for the future and to make sure that you are getting the best deal possible, especially down here, Tony, with homeowners insurance. And, so many people have experienced, due to the storms that we've had recently in the past here, that a lot of these insurance companies have really priced themselves out of the market. And so it's really a great time to review your auto, review your home, review life insurance policies and make sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck. This is a great end of year strategy to make sure that going into the new year, you have policies that meet your needs, but also you're not overpaying.
Right. Yeah. There you go. A lot of people are overpaying, or they're either overinsured or underinsured. When people first come to you and they haven't been working with you, and you look at where they're at and what they have, do you find that is true, Anthony, that a lot of people are either overinsured or underinsured, or just simply have policies they don't need?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that does happen, Tony. And so that's why it's so important to do a full insurance policy review. I mean, a lot has changed. I mean, mortality rates, people are living longer, and some of the newer life insurance policies are priced so much better because of the extended mortality factors that we have now. And like I mentioned, homeowners insurance. I mean, some of these companies have literally priced themselves out of the market. I talked to some folks that literally save almost 30-40% just in their homeowners insurance just by shopping around. So, yeah, either being underinsured or overinsured, or just frankly paying too much. So great time of year to really do a full review on all insurance policies.
Yeah, insurance is an important part of any retirement plan, that's for sure, or life plan. You want to make sure you have the proper insurance and you have the right insurance. That's huge. So far we've talked about make sure you've taken your RMDs, review your tax withholdings, review your insurance policies. It is important to do these things before the end of the year, before the new year. What's another thing that we need to do before the end of the year or should be thinking about?
Sure, Tony. So number 4 on the checklist, round up your charitable contributions. Make a list of all the donations you've made throughout the year. You'll want this come tax season. So all of your charitable contributions, certainly you want to start getting together, because this ultimately can be helpful when it comes time to doing your taxes. So just making a good list of all the donations that you've made over the year. And it's really going to tie into our Roth conversion, which is number 5. And I say that because in a lot of cases, your charitable contributions, if they don't meet or exceed your standard deduction, then a lot of these charitable contributions can't be written off. If you're taking the standard deduction, you can't take both. But the reason why I say that ties to the Roth conversion is because a lot of this, if that's the case and you do give to charity, but you find that you're not able to write off those contributions because you take the standard deduction, if you're taking RMDs from your IRA, you can do what's called qualified charitable distributions, and you can send that money directly from your IRA to the charity, and it does not get reported as taxable income. So I know I said a lot there, but for point number 4, it's just simply make a list of all your charitable contributions, but let's make sure we're utilizing them the best way possible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And, if you're, writing checks to your church, tithing to a church, or giving to a charity, and you're writing checks out of your checking account, you're giving up some money there. You're wasting money that you could be saving by maybe doing direct charitable contributions. But you have to be able to qualify. You have to have the right type of account, an IRA, and use your RMDs and be of that age. So that is important. I'm glad you brought that up, though. You should look at your contributions no matter what your age or situation. Make sure that your taxes, if you don't take the standard deduction, make sure you're taking that at least deductions, if not a charitable contribution, which is a distribution, is really important. So Again, another great one, Anthony. Now, what else do we need to know before the end of the year? How can we plan ahead and stay on track?
All right. So, two Roth conversions, a Roth IRA may be a good option to consider. And so, what, depending on your tax bracket and depending on your marginal tax rate, you may find that you still have room in that bracket to do those Roth conversions, meaning convert some IRA money up to the bracket, pay Uncle Sam, get him out of the way, and then get that money into a Roth. The thing about the Roth IRA, it all grows tax-free, not only for you, but also for your heirs. So this is money that passes on tax-free. So getting Uncle Sam out of the way, there's no RMD requirements on Roth IRAs. So people do Roth conversions to fill up those brackets, get Uncle Sam out of the way, and get the money in the Roth. And I'm telling you, Tony, that's, one of the, I would say one of the most important strategies to look at, because when you extrapolate those Roth conversions over the next 10, 15, 20 years, you would be surprised at ultimately how much money can go into those Roth IRAs that ultimately are passed on, especially for estate planning, wealth transfer. Nothing passes on more tax friendly than a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
So it's really a great strategy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that is a good strategy. Roths, you've always talked about how great Roths can be and how a huge part of a plan they can be, especially for retirement, because you need some money in that tax-free bucket, right?
Absolutely, Tony. And as you know, there's minimal investments out here that we can really say and claim that they're tax-free.
Yeah.
And, those are two, real, beautiful words. And not many investments can offer that, but the Roth IRA certainly does. And you do that strategically. Each year, you're looking at the additional funds that you have in your bracket. And of course, you have to have that worked with a knowledgeable retirement planning counselor. But those Roth IRAs can really enhance your overall retirement plan.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So what's next on the plan ahead and stay on track list for the new year or before the end of the year?
Absolutely. So number 7 on our list is retirement contributions. Review your pre-tax contributions that you have taken out of each paycheck. Are you contributing as much as you can? So for folks that are working, that have earned income, a lot of times, depending on the income that's coming in, they have contribution opportunities where they can offset some of that income and therefore mitigate some of the tax liability. And so there are all sorts of accounts, whether it be traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, SEP IRAs, are becoming very popular, especially for the self-employed. There are even SEP Roth IRAs. So, these are retirement accounts, retirement plans that if you're in a situation where you're trying to lower your taxable income, you have these traditional IRAs, SEP IRAs, if you qualify, to help lower your tax liability before the year ends.
Right. You do need to do that and make sure you're minimizing that tax burden. You have to look at your retirement contributions and review all the pre-tax contributions that you've taken. You need to look at all of that. I mean, it affects your taxes. It can affect your livelihood. So that is really important. I wouldn't want to do any of this without working with a professional like yourself, though, Anthony. So review those retirement contributions. Now, what else would you advise we look at before the end of the year?
Yeah, absolutely, Tony. So, you want to make sure, and this may seem, I guess, it may seem is obvious, but you want to make sure that all of your important documents are being able to, be accessed anywhere. So what I mean by that, your wills, your living wills, your trusts, your healthcare directives. So it's real important. You have documents there that if you're on a trip or if you're traveling and you need to access your power of attorney or your uh, medical power of attorney or your will or a trust document or whatever it might be, having access to those important documents. And so these online storage vaults, and the generational vault here in particular, is a storage cabinet, if you will, an online filing cabinet that's highly encrypted, and very secure. But all of those documents today, Tony, should be accessible on a storage vault. So if you're traveling, you find yourself needing some of these documents that need to be readily available, you have access to them. So really getting all of your documentation organized and then put into an online storage vault so you have access is something that's really just some good housekeeping for the end of the year.
Well, and there you go. It is good housekeeping before the end of the year, and build alternative income streams. Look at these types of things. Review where you're at financially, and meet with your financial professional. That's a big one, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, Tony. I mean, at the end of the day, you really want to, be as efficient, obviously, as you can be with your taxes, with your investments, with your income, with your estate planning. I mean, at the end of the day, you work very hard to accumulate your estate, and whether it be real estate, whether it be investments in retirement accounts or even after-tax accounts, you want to be as efficient as possible. And that's why working with a retirement counselor or an investment advisor that really has a holistic view, looking at all aspects, I think is critical. Because again, sometimes, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and not that, everybody is very, competent, but if they don't coordinate, a lot of times some of these plans we see are just very choppy because not everybody's on the same page. And so having an investment firm that's really looking at all aspects of your retirement plan, I would say, is probably the most important thing out of all of this.
Oh, for sure. It is. That's huge. And there are some other things too. I mean, obviously you want to make sure you look at your risk tolerance, right? I mean, you meet with people and deal with that all the time to figure out what type of risk they're taking.
Absolutely. So does the investments, the portfolios that you're in, do they align with your current risk tolerance? And as you know, Tony, the CAMR risk analysis, the color of money risk analysis, is a critical piece. People should be assessing their risk tolerance annually. You certainly don't want to be invested in a portfolio that may hold a higher level of risk than you're comfortable with. Well, how would you know that? You have to do a risk assessment, and then that portfolio is assigned a risk number. And so we can get, and especially with the tools today, you can get very extremely accurate to someone's risk score to the investments that they're in. So it's critical. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a conservative investor and you're investing in a portfolio or investments that are much higher on the risk scale, or vice versa, I mean, you may be a very more of an aggressive investor that's very comfortable with volatility and may be invested too conservatively. So, at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong other than what's important to you. So assessing your risk tolerance and making sure that your investments are aligned with your risk tolerance is critical.
Well, we've covered a lot. And I mean, I think the biggest one here is to make sure that you make an appointment with your financial services professional or get a second opinion. The bottom line is people need to pick up the phone and give you a call, Anthony. And I know that you love hearing from our listeners and you have a great staff there and you help your clients with this. So how can our listeners out there get a hold of you to make this happen?
Absolutely. So if you would like a second opinion, especially before the end of the year, pick up the phone and call our office at 504-828-2171. That's 504-828-2171. Our main office is right in Metairie, right off of Causeway. We have an office in Houma. We have a satellite office in Baton Rouge and one on the North Shore in Mandeville. So we cover this area of South Louisiana.
What's that phone number? One more time our listeners can call, Anthony.
Absolutely. It's 504-828-2171. That's 504-828-2171.
All right, and that does it for today's episode of Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Congemi. Thank you for listening to Retirement Keys. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, please contact Anthony Congemi at Crescent City Retirement Group. Call 504-828-2171 or visit the website at crescentcityretirement.com.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.